The Delaware County Commission meeting for July 1st is now back in session for the purpose of a hearing for the Griffith 391 Drainage Improvement Project. I'm going to begin by kind of outlining how the process and how it will work today. First of all, welcome to the final hearing and for the consideration of this Griffith 391 watershed project. There's a sign-in sheet circulating in the room, and we ask that you please sign the sheet to indicate your attendance. Now here's a review of what will happen today. We will hear a summary of the final hearing report from the county engineer and the Soil and Water Conservation District. Following this summary presentation, there will be time for questions from the board. After board questions, the board will hear from any interested owners that wish to testify. Those speaking for or against the petition must be either an owner, as defined in section 6131-01 of the revised code, or an attorney speaking on behalf of an owner. No exceptions. The board will acknowledge receipt of any landowner written testimony before hearing live testimony. We will first call all those wishing to testify in favor of the project. We will then call those wishing to testify in opposition of the project. Before testifying, you'll be asked to take an oath. After all those wishing to testify for or against the project have been heard, there will be an opportunity for response or rebuttal testimony. The board will close the public hearing after all testimony and evidence has been presented. After listening to the testimony and the report of the engineer, the board will decide whether to find in favor of the improvement, affirm the previous order, confirm the assessments, and approve the payment schedule, or the board may dismiss the petition and set aside the previous order. The board must consider the following factors in making the decision: whether the proposed improvement is necessary, whether the proposed improvement will be conducive to the public welfare, and whether the cost of the proposed improvement will be less than the benefits of the improvement provides. With that, I will begin the process. And
Good morning, Commissioners. Brett Bacon, Deputy Administrator with Soil and Water. I will do a brief presentation on this proposed project, and I'd be happy to answer any questions the board might have. The Griffith number 391 Drainage Improvement Project has been requested per the provisions of Ohio Revised Code 6131. Timeline for the project is as follows. June 12th, 2020, the petition for drainage improvements was filed by Gurdon LLC. April 12th, 2021, the view was held for the project. And August 12th, 2021, the first hearing was held for the project. The petition specifically requests in Delaware County, Berlin Township, within the Griffith number 391 watershed, and generally following but not limited to the course and termini of the existing improvements, to generally improve the drainage, both surface and subsurface, to a good and sufficient outlet by replacing, repairing, or altering the existing improvements as required, and or creating new surface and subsurface drainage mains or laterals as requested by this ditch petition. The watershed for the project is approximately 208 acres. It is predominantly rural residential and curb and gutter subdivision. The original petition was signed by representatives of one of the 178 parcels in the watershed. I've created side-by-side maps here. The blue represents property owned by the petitioner. The map on the left is the current makeup of the watershed. You can see the area to the north is what is currently owned by the petitioner. And then you can see on the right, this is the map from the first hearing when the petitioner owned much more acreage in the watershed, and that has now been developed into the Winterbrook subdivision. The work will include open channel 4 to 7 feet deep, rock line channel for erosion control, subsurface drainage tile installation, surface drain swale construction, clearing and snagging of brush and debris, and the installation of a blind inlet. We have a drone video of the area, and if you'll excuse me, for some reason I've lost the ability to play that within PowerPoint, so I have to go outside to play it. This is starting at the upstream end of the project. That's North Road on the left-hand side, and we're flying downstream. and this video was flown last week. You can see along the path here, the existing tile has many blowouts on it. It's very broken down, pretty much in disrepair. Okay. Some representative pictures of the items of construction. This would be an open channel, rock line channel for erosion control. Example of reseeding following subsurface drain installation. A tile main breather. And surface drain swale. Cost estimate. Construction, $176,648.18. Administration, planning, and construction inspection, $11,770.92. Drainage maintenance, first year startup pay-in, $9,420.95. And contingency, $28,262.86, for a total construction estimate of $226,102.91. Assessments. The revised code instructs the county engineer to calculate assessments based on the benefits received. It further goes on to say, quote, uplands that have been removed from their natural state by deforestation, cultivation, artificial drainage, urban development, or other human methods shall be considered as benefited by an improvement that is required to dispose of the accelerated flow of water from the uplands. Assessments are further calculated by taking the acres benefited times a land use factor times the percent used to equal the parcel assessment factor. The percentage share then is the parcel assessment factor divided by the sum of all the assessment factors, and the parcel assessment would then be the percent share times the total estimated costs. Landowners have the option to pay the full assessment upfront within 30 days of the final hearing by July 31st, which means they must also give notice of intent by July 22nd. Alternatively, they can have the assessment placed on their property tax bill as a special assessment. Having the assessment placed on property taxes will include interest and other fees if the project is bonded, and an auditor-treasurer 2% collection fee. We have an amortization example to give an example of what an estimated assessment might look like. We take our total estimated construction cost of $226,102.91. We use an example assessment of $2,261.03. That was chosen because that's a 1% share of the project. Debt issuing fees, typically around $8,000. Bond interest, 4% estimate, would equal $9,044.12, giving us a total estimated cost of $243,147.03. 1% of this share is $2,431.47. 2% of that for the auditor treasurer fees is $48.63, giving a total assessment for this average parcel of $2,480.10. If we look at a 8-year repayment schedule, 16 semi-annual payments will produce a semi-annual payment of $155. Bidding and construction. Approved projects are advertised for public bid, with the lowest and best bid to be awarded the contract. These projects are typically not subject to prevailing wage, and bids may not be accepted in excess of the final hearing engineer's estimate. The final schedule of assessments is reduced pro rata by the difference between the estimated cost and the final cost if that final cost ends up being lower. In this case, upfront payments would receive a refund of the difference. Drainage maintenance. Revised Code Section 6137 requires completed projects to be placed onto drainage maintenance, and the purpose of maintenance is to keep the project operating at its design capacity. Maintenance funds are collected as a special assessment, and common maintenance activities include inspections, seeding, repairs, and erosion control. Maintenance assessments are determined based on the final schedule of construction assessments. Most projects average between 2.5% and 5% annually for their collection. The collection percentage can vary depending on the maintenance needs of the project, and drainage maintenance is perpetual. Going back to our amortization example, the construction assessment of $2,261.03 with a 5% maintenance collection and including the auditor treasurer's fees would equal an annual maintenance assessment of $115.31. You can see on the schedule for the first 8 years, a parcel would be paying both the construction and maintenance assessments until the construction assessment is paid off, and then following that, just the maintenance assessment. Cost benefit. Benefits to residential parcels are typically found in 2 ways: the increased marketability of a home and the functionality of home site sewage treatment systems. A failed home site sewage treatment system can cost $15,000 to $25,000 to repair or replace. We also find that new developments average $8,700 per lot spent on providing adequate drainage outlets. With 153 residential parcels in the watershed, this would equal $1,331,100 benefit at minimum. Other benefits commonly perceived focus on quality of life and positive neighborhood perception. Lack of an adequate drainage outlet for roadway drainage can lead to standing water, resulting in traffic safety hazards and increased routine maintenance of the roadway surface. Decisions. The options before the board today are to approve the project in whole or deny the project in whole. There are no laterals for this project. Approval will require setting repayment period and whether to bond, confirming the schedule of assessments, and ordering the project to be advertised for competitive bid. If the decision is to deny, it is recommended to distribute costs incurred to this point to the landowners in the same ratio as determined by the final schedule of assessments. Estimated costs to date are $7,500. Engineer's recommendation. Based on all of the information gathered and generated, I believe this project as proposed is technically feasible and would serve as an adequate outlet for the drainage needs of the watershed. Furthermore, the parcel assessments for this project are within the range of assessments that can be expected for a project of this scope. The testimony brought to the Board of Commissioners by the landowners as to whether the benefits of this project exceed the costs should be given significant consideration in the decision to move forward with this project.
Okay, first of all, any questions from the board? Commissioner Lewis, you have any questions?
No questions.
Nor do I have any. Thank you. So that will take us to opportunity for testimony from those in favor and those opposed.
Commissioner.
But before that, we will do, thank you. You're about to kiss, really. We have, I think, a written.
Yes, we have to address, acknowledge receipt of a written testament or objection. Resolution number 24-529, in the matter of the Delaware County Board of Commissioners acknowledging receipt of the written objection and accepting for consideration the exception to the assessment filed by Thomas B. Adams and Tamara J. Adams in the proceedings for the Griffith number 391 Watershed Drainage Improvement Project.
So moved.
Second, discussion, vote.
Vote on motion 24-529. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Mayor?
Aye. Okay, that will then bring us to those in the audience First of all, those who wish to speak in support of the hearing, the improvements. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak in support of? If you give us, I'm going to swear you in, but give us your name and your relationship.
Joe Thomas, here on behalf of the owner for Peachbow Land, Peachbow Land 2 LLC.
Okay, I swear you in. You raise your right. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Proceed.
Commissioners, thank you for your opportunity today to speak in front of this board. We are a proponent for this development. We've actually have been landowners on this particular parcel, is the Peachbow Land 2 LLC, which is located south of Peachblow and west of the new south leg of the North Road extension to the elementary school. We were part of the overall development of the extension of North Road, the Peachblow roundabout, and in turn dedication of ground to the Olentangy Local School District for the elementary school located at that area. This land is very flat and really has no great outlet for storm. We currently had a project that we worked through with the county engineers as far as that south leg of the North Road extension. Of course, with any type of road development, there's drainage, and with that drainage, there's a pond. Currently, there's no outlet for the pond, so the pond and high water times has an opportunity to back up on North Road. So we see the urgency to have this particular development approved, or this petition approved immediately, to allow an outlet for this pond, as well as improved drainage both on the north side of Peachblow and the south side of Peachblow. I thank you for your opportunity to speak today. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who'd like to speak in support of the resolution, the improvement project? Okay, you want to introduce yourself first?
Pardon?
Introduce yourself first.
I'm Ron Bullard, Berlin Township Trustee, speaking for the Township Trustees Board.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Proceed.
Okay, the trustees have asked me, and we discussed it in our meetings, and we have several reasons why the ditch petition should move forward. One is you've got the pond, which has no outlet, so the water's backing up. I went there yesterday, looked at the catch basins, which are in the road to put the water into the pond. And there's two catch basins. The one next to the pond is a little bit higher than the one that's a little bit farther away from the pond. But the one that's a little bit farther away is a little bit lower. Water level in that catch basin was about 1 foot to 1.5 feet below the metal grading. And that's after all these warm days and off there, all the water evaporation and all that sort of stuff. I've been there on days when it hasn't rained, and the catch basin has had the water level be up to the grading. So it's right at the surface of the road. The problem is that we're keeping the water in the catch basin, we're putting the water under the road, causing damage to the road surface or subsurface. And the thing that we're really concerned about is the school to the south has only one outlet, which is North Road coming that direction. And then when the water backs up and actually comes out of that basin, we may have to close the road, which would cause the school to have to be closed. In the wintertime, it would create a really icy condition, and the water sitting in the catch basin will have a tendency to freeze and do damage to the catch basin, plus the water, holding the water under the road, all of that's a damaging situation. So we'd like to move forward with it to provide an outlet to get the water out of the pond, or at least get the level of the pond down. Normally, we don't get involved in these sorts of things, but this one is a unique situation because there's a pond there, and we see the future damage to the road and that sort of stuff. The other thing that is another kind of a byproduct is with the water backing up on the road, that would move the water to a different watershed to have a way for it to be able to get out. I'm happy to answer any questions if you've got any for me.
I have no questions.
Right, the water backup again is on North Road,
Yeah, pardon?
Does the water back up?
The water's
north.
backing up, and these catch basins are on North Road,
Okay,
right near the school bus entrance to the parking lot for the school.
okay.
It's,
Okay.
it's real close there, and North Road, eventually, years from now, this won't even be an issue, because if North Road would be open, there would be another access to the school coming from the south, and water, if the development had been built, the water from the pond would be flowing out and going away. But right now, the problem is the water in the pond and just backing up and getting there.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks, Ron.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak in support of the project? One more time, is there anyone else who'd like to speak in support of the project? With that, we'll move to anyone who would like to speak in opposition to the project. Second time, is there anyone else who would like to speak, this time in opposition to the project? Okay. With that, I will, Commissioner Lewis, you have any questions or?
No questions.
If there's no other questions, I see no reason not to close the public hearing
First,
and move to the next step.
Commissioner, you should solicit any testimony from Soil and Water Conservation District about the exception to the assessment.
Okay, thank you.
Get that on the record during the hearing.
Very good. Who's going to speak in behalf?
And you could swear him in as well,
Swear him in.
for this portion, yes.
mhm.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll ask you to identify yourself, and then I will swear you in.
Brett Bacon, Deputy Administrator, Delaware Soil and Water Conservation District.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Proceed.
Commissioners, the recommendation of the County Engineer's Office and Soil and Water Conservation District is to deny this objection to the schedule of assessments. I will go over a couple maps that I just handed out to you here. Oops, let me start with the other one. When we look at a watershed, we will look at first and foremost primarily the surface drainage in the watershed. And the watershed is built using LiDAR imagery from the state of Ohio. LiDAR imagery places an elevation on the ground surface at a 2.5 foot grid. So basically every 2.5 feet, there is an elevation that's measured by light imaging detected in radar. You can look at the contour map here, and I'll kind of explain what we're looking at. First of all, you can see the driveway is a 955. That's 955 feet above sea level. You kind of drop to 953 here. These two properties are Mr. Adams' property. The drainage, as he states in his letter, does drain north from this property to this pond. You can see the drainage pattern. I'm just going to trace it with the cursor here. Both the photo pattern, the darker lines here, and the contour information would suggest this pond drains first to the northwest and then turning to the south, kind of following this path here. So our data would clearly suggest that Mr. Adams' property is in the watershed. We're confident in our watershed line. The second thing we will look at is the subsurface drainage tile pattern. You can see the lighter streaks in this photo. Those are the subsurface drainage tile that were existing on the property. They clearly show this area being drained to this point, kind of in a pattern like this. And then there's a line coming up right here to this southern parcel. That's also a tile showing that this area is draining to the southwest. So the data that we have, which we place a high degree of confidence in, we have found it to be highly accurate. There's nothing that would make us reconsider, absent of any other additional evidence being presented by Mr. Adams.
Okay.
Uh,
I would like to ask the clerk to read the resolution in the matter of the commissioners denying the exception.
Should we close the hearing before we address that, or should we do it now?
So there were some other points that were raised in that exception that I think you should inquire about. One was a question about the remoteness factor, just to clarify that on the record.
Okay?
Okay.
Yes, we use the remote.
Reintroduce yourself.
Sorry, Brett Bacon, Soil and Water. We use the remote factor to give an allowance for properties that are further away from the improved portion of the infrastructure. We typically apply that remote factor in half-mile increments with properties that are within a half-mile receiving no remote factor, and then graduating out in a step process as we move further away from the project. This entire project is within a half-mile of the improvements, so the remote factor was uniformly not applied across the entirety of the properties.
Okay. Here, were there any other areas of concern? Okay, thank you. I believe you,
Resolution number 24-530, in the matter of the commissioners denying the exception to the assessments filed by Thomas P. Adams and Tamara J. Adams for the Griffith number 391 Watershed Drainage Improvement Project.
So moved.
second, discussion?
Yes, there is, to the Adams, this is a complex undertaking, and our soil and water people go to great lengths to make certain that things are done right. And as just presented, we have the sophisticated tools to do this. Water drainage is not easy to understand, so I understand where the Adams are coming from, but their understanding of this project, unfortunately, is lacking. And so therefore, I certainly support the project. It's, and I'll just stick to denying the exception at this point.
I fully support that as well, so let's move forward.
Vote on motion 24-530. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
All right, that brings us to board discussion and then direction on,
Should we close the hearing
Petition
first
itself.
before we do that, or is it? So the hearing is officially closed at 10:28.
we'll note the time.
Okay. And then I would like to, for you to read
In support?
the clerk to read in the matter of finding in favor of the improvement and affirming the order.
Resolution number 24-531, in the matter of finding in favor of the improvement and affirming the order for the Griffith number 391 Watershed Drainage Improvement Project.
So moved.
Second, discussion.
The discussion is overwhelming, as we've heard testimony from trustee Bullard and also Joe from Metro, that this project is very necessary. We've seen the drone footage. We need to move forward on this, and we need to move forward in a very timely manner too.
I'd just like to add that the criteria under which this board operates and is asked to evaluate is whether the proposed improvement is necessary, whether the proposed improvement will be conducive to the public welfare, and whether the cost of the proposed improvements will be less than the benefits the improvement provides. I think the criteria in all three of those areas is met, and I support it. And without
I agree.
any other comment, I call for the vote.
Vote on motion 24-531. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Resolution number 24-532, in the matter of commissioners confirming the assessments, approving the payment schedule, and ordering the letting of contracts for the Griffith number 391 Watershed Drainage Improvement Project.
So moved.
Second, discussion. Vote.
Vote on motion 24-532. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Okay, that concludes the hearing and the approvals. With that, is there any other business to bring before us? If
I
not,
don't believe so.
happy 4th of July, and we are adjourned.